Hello everyone. Today, we're bringing you a fascinating story about a lazy boy who turned out to be surprisingly smart. By the end of this story, we'll discover how someone who avoids hard work can actually learn to overcome laziness and become more productive. But that's not all. While we enjoy this story together, we'll also pick up some new English words and learn how to use them in sentences. This way, you'll be improving your English while having fun at the same time. So make sure to watch till the end because this story is full of lessons, learning, and excitement. Once upon a time, in a quiet little village surrounded by tall green trees and sparkling streams, there lived a boy named Marco. Marco was cheerful, kind, and full of ideas, but he had one big problem. He was extremely lazy. While other kids woke up early, worked, and played in the sun, Marco loved sleeping till late and lying under the shade of a tree, dreaming about easy ways to get things done. He wasn't bad or careless, just too fond of comfort. His parents loved him very much, but they often said, "Marco, my boy, one day your laziness will cause you trouble." Marco would just smile and reply, "Why work hard when I can work smart?" Marco's father was a farmer, and every morning he took Marco with him to the fields. The only task Marco had was to chase away the birds that came to eat their rice crops. Most boys would run around the fields with sticks, shouting to scare the birds. But Marco didn't like running in the hot sun. Instead, he came up with a clever plan. He placed wooden poles around the field, tied ropes between them, and attached small tin cans that made noise when pulled. Now Marco could lie down under a tree and simply pull a rope to make all the birds fly away. His father was surprised and said with a smile, "You truly are a lazy genius." Even though Marco's tricks worked, his father secretly worried, "If I ever fall sick, will Marco know how to take care of everything?" Time passed, and one summer, the sky stayed dry for weeks. The crops needed more water than ever. One morning, Marco's father became very sick and couldn't go to the fields. It was now Marco's turn to handle everything. At first, he tried to do it the easy way, but he quickly realized farming was much harder than he thought. The sun burned his back, his hands hurt, and no matter how much he tried, the crops began to dry and die. Every night, he sat outside looking at the stars, feeling sad and helpless. "Why didn't I learn from father when I had the chance?" he whispered. "Now everything is ruined." He felt the weight of responsibility for the first time in his life. The next morning, something unusual happened in the village. Loud drums and trumpets echoed through the streets. A soldier from the king's palace arrived, shouting, "Hear ye! Hear ye! The king is holding a grand competition at the royal palace. The winner shall receive a chest of gold coins and a medal of honor." The villagers gathered, their eyes wide with excitement. Marco's heart suddenly lit up. Gold coins? He thought. "If I can win this, I can save our family and help my father recover." Without wasting another second, Marco ran home and told his parents about the competition. His mother smiled gently. "Marco, winning won't be easy," she said. His father, weak but hopeful, replied, "Go, my son. Even if you don't win, maybe you'll learn what true hard work means." The villagers laughed when they heard Marco was going. Marco, the laziest boy in the village, competing at the king's palace? They mocked, but Marco didn't care. He packed a small bag with some bread and water and started walking toward the capital. The journey was long and tiring. He crossed rivers, forests, and dusty roads. Many times he wanted to give up, but every time he remembered his sick father's face, his heart gave him strength. "I must do this," he kept saying. After 3 long days, he finally saw the tall golden towers of the king's palace shining under the sun. When Marco reached the palace, hundreds of strong men and women were already waiting. They looked brave, tall, and muscular. Some were soldiers, some athletes, some farmers, all ready to win. Marco felt small among them but refused to give up. Soon, a royal soldier announced the first challenge. The participants had to cross a wide blue lake, and the first 3 people to reach the other side would qualify for the next round. 3, 2, 1, go! Shouted the soldier. Everyone jumped into the lake and began swimming with all their might. Water splashed everywhere as the crowd cheered. But Marco stood still looking at the water. He thought, there's no way I can beat these strong swimmers. But the rule says cross the lake, not swim across it. A spark of creativity flashed in his mind. He quickly ran into the nearby forest, collected broken branches and vines, and started tying them together. In just a few minutes, he built a small wooden raft. Using a large stick as a paddle, Marco pushed his raft onto the lake. Slowly and steadily, he began to move forward. The swimmers were fast at first, but soon they started getting tired. Meanwhile, Marco kept paddling calmly, smiling under the sun. "Smart work always beats hard work," he whispered. When he finally reached the other side, the soldier announced, "Third place, Marco!" The crowd gasped. The lazy boy had made it. The next morning was the final challenge. The king himself appeared on his balcony to watch. The soldier shouted, "Contestants, each of you will receive a huge wooden block. Your task is to push it 1 kilometer to the finish line. You may choose one tool from the table behind you to help." The crowd buzzed with excitement. The first contestant quickly grabbed a thick rope and started pulling. The second one used a long stick as a lever. Marco, as usual, didn't rush. He looked carefully at the tools and thought, "Strength won't help me. I need something smarter." After a few seconds, he picked up a small knife. The crowd burst out laughing. "A knife? What's he going to do, cut the air?" someone shouted. But Marco smiled silently and began working. He started carving the block, cutting off its sharp edges, shaping it little by little. The crowd watched curiously. After almost an hour of effort, Marco's square block had turned into a perfect round ball. Now, instead of pushing or dragging, he simply rolled it. The ball moved easily down the road while the others struggled with their heavy square blocks. The people couldn't believe their eyes. Marco ran behind his rolling ball, guiding it with joy, and crossed the finish line first. The crowd erupted in cheers. "Marco! Marco! Marco!" The king laughed and said, "Young man, you've proven that wisdom is mightier than strength. You may be lazy, but your mind is sharp and your heart is pure. You deserve the gold." Marco bowed deeply and accepted the chest of gold coins. He felt proud not just because he won, but because for the first time in his life, he had worked hard and smart together. When he returned home, his parents hugged him with tears in their eyes. His father said softly, "Son, today you showed that laziness can become strength if you use your mind the right way. You made us proud." Marco smiled and replied, "I've learned my lesson, Father. From now on, I won't run from hard work. I'll use my brain and my hands together." From that day forward, Marco helped his father every day in the fields. He still used clever tricks, but now he worked hard too. The farm became more successful than ever, and the villagers who once laughed at him now respected him. They often told their children, "Be like Marco, use your head, not just your hands." And so Marco, the lazy boy who once loved to lie under the trees, became a symbol of smart thinking, determination, and love for family. He taught everyone that even if you start lazy, you can change if you find the right reason to try. So kids, the next time you feel lazy or tired, remember Marco's story. Don't give up. Find your reason, your family, your dreams, or even proving to yourself that you can do it. Hard work with a smart mind always leads to success. Moral of the story: laziness can't stop a determined heart. When you mix intelligence with effort, you can achieve anything.